Kindred Spirits, Shalom Bish Itchenbachenba, written by Leslie Stahl Widener, illustrated by Johnson Yazzie. A true pay-it-forward story that bridges two continents, 175 years, and two events in history that connect Ireland, Choctaw Nation, Navajo Nation, and Hopi Nation. Ireland, 1845. A young Irish girl runs between rows of potato plants. Their leaves were bright green yesterday. Now they're wilted and blotchy. She pushes her hand into the loose soil and pulls the first potato from the ground. Not smooth and golden, slimy and dark, the smell of rot. Da-da! The girl drops the protgy. Farmers can't explain why fields of healthy-looking plants changed overnight. It is the beginning of the great hunger that changed Ireland. Irish potato famine. An extreme heat wave followed by drenching rains hit Ireland in the summer of 1845. The weather worried farmers who relied on potato crops to feed their families. The night before the second harvest in October, a fog rolled in. The next day, farmers discovered that a fungus had destroyed the crops. Many Irish people lost the only food they could afford. The Irish potato famine lasted 5 years. More than 1 million Irish people died from starvation and disease. Another 2 million emigrated to Canada, the United States, and Britain. 1847, Choctaw Nation. 4,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean, Choctaw people are still healing from their own hardships. A family leaves their cabin and hurries through the cold rain. They join others at the Choctaw Agency building. Tushpa! We must not be late. The big room smells of wet clothes, wood smoke, lamp oil. Friends and families greet one another. Halito chimachuka ma. They hear about a place called Ireland where families are torn apart, removed from their homes, and left to starve. Wrapped in the warmth of family, each Choctaw man, woman, and child listens. They feel the pain of the Irish people. Irish tenants and English landlords. Ireland seemed to be a fertile land of plenty, but most of the land was owned by English landlords who hired Irish tenants to manage the farms. The farmers grew praties, potatoes, to feed their families. If crops were poor and farmers couldn't pay the rent, their landlords evicted them and destroyed their homes. Looking back, 1832. Mothers, fathers, and grandparents' faces are streaked with tears as they think about their own losses. They think now of the anguish they felt when their land was stolen and their villages burned to the ground. They'd touch familiar twigs, leaves, rocks, and the rough bark of beloved trees. Removed by force from the place of their ancestors, they remember. Choctaw people walked 600 miles through snow and rain, barefoot and half-starved, with only thin blankets for warmth. The Trail of Tears claimed thousands of lives. The Trail of Tears. Under increasing pressure from the United States government, Choctaw chiefs signed the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek in 1830. Choctaw traditional lands in Mississippi were traded for land in the West. White settlers began stealing Choctaw land. Soon soldiers burned down villages, forcing Choctaw people to leave. They walked nearly 600 miles, taking only what they could carry. By the time they finally reached Indian Territory, now called Oklahoma, many Choctaw people had frozen, starved, or died of disease. 1847, Choctaw Nation. Choctaw people reach into their pockets. They give $170 to people in Ireland in honor of the injustice suffered by both nations. Shalombish Atabachawa, those who feel the same, Kindred Spirits. Choctaw relief for the Irish. Newspapers around the world published reports about the atrocities of the Irish suffered during the potato famine. When Choctaw people met at their agency building on March 23, 1847, and heard of the crisis in Ireland, they took up a collection. The $170 they gave is equivalent to $5,000 today, a huge sum for struggling people. 2017 Ireland. 7 generations into the future and back across the ocean, Ireland remembers. Irish people tell the story of the sacrificial gift given by Choctaw people to their Irish ancestors. Ireland honors the Choctaw Nation with a shining monument, an empty bowl created in memory of a time when both nations were hungry. Kindred spirits come together in a shared spirit of hope, self-sacrifice, and perseverance. Kindred Spirits. Irish sculptor Alex Pentek created the sculpture named Kindred Spirits. The empty bowl, made of 9 24-foot-tall eagle feathers, represents the gift given by Choctaw people because they understood Irish people's suffering. 2020 Hopi Nation. Then the COVID-19 pandemic infects the globe in 2020. People everywhere are told, stay home, stay safe. In the American Southwest, 2 other native nations, Navajo and Hopi, are greatly affected. They are located in a vast desert area, miles from family and friends. Many people have no running water. 2020 Navajo Nation. It's a day's drive to buy food and bottled water. When fathers and mothers make the trip, sickness returns with them. Hospitals are few and far from their homes. Many who become sick don't get well. Crisis in the Southwest. COVID-19 crisscrossed the world starting in early 2020. The global pandemic devastated the sovereign Navajo and Hopi nations located at the 4 corners of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. The United States government has repeatedly failed to provide basic and equal resources for Native people in general, and during the pandemic, the result was widespread suffering throughout Navajo and Hopi nations. 2020 Ireland. News travels quickly. People in Ireland hear of the suffering of the Navajo and Hopi people. More than 26,000 Irish people donate, many citing the Choctaw-Irish connection, honoring their ancestors, and showing how one act of kindness can grow. They help the Navajo and Hopi nations. In Ireland, a mother and daughter gaze at the shining sculpture in the empty park. They remember the story of how the Choctaw Nation helped their ancestors. From her pocket, the girl pulls out a coin sent by her mamamo. "Ma, I want to help." Kindness comes full circle. Members of the Navajo and Hopi nations established a fundraising effort in March 2020 to help their people. They hoped to raise money for food and bottled water. Over $3 million was donated by Irish people to the Navajo and Hopi nations. The money was given by many with ancestors who received the gift that the Choctaws gave to Ireland during the potato famine. Today and always. 7 generations in the past, this circle of kindness began. Choctaw, Irish, Navajo, and Hopi, 4 nations, 2 continents, different but the same. Unified by empathy, learned from hardship, they passed generosity and compassion as kindred spirits. Here is a timeline. 1830, the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek signed. 1831, Trail of Tears takes place. 1832, Scullyville, from the Choctaw world is Scully or Iscully, meaning money, established as the first capital of the Choctaw Nation. 1845, the potato crops fail and Ireland's worst famine takes place. March 23, 1847, Scullyville, Choctaws collect $170 for Irish potato famine relief. November 16, 1907, Oklahoma becomes the 46th U.S. state and the name Indian Territory is no longer used. 1990, Choctaw officials participate in an annual walk in County Mayo to commemorate the Duluth tragedy, a starvation march in Ireland during the famine. 1992, Irish activists and Choctaw officials retrace the Trail of Tears in a gesture of reciprocal solidarity to support starving Somali people. 1995, Irish President Mary Robinson visits the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma to renew the friendship and thank the Choctaw people for their aid. 2013, Irish sculptor Alex Pentek commissioned to design and build a commemorative sculpture. June 18, 2017, Kindred Spirits statue dedication event is attended by a delegation including Choctaw Chief Gary Baton and Assistant Chief Jack Austin Jr. 2018, Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar visits the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma and announces a scholarship program for young Choctaws to study in Ireland. 2020, the global COVID-19 pandemic has devastating effects on the Navajo and Hopi nations, and Irish citizens contribute significantly toward their relief. Kindness comes full circle. On the right is an image, a photograph of the sculpture that was talked about in this book in the park in Ireland.